Hello everyone, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today in this video, I will talk about APA references or list of references or APA referencing system. Okay, so we still use APA, of course, and in APA reference system, we're going to use the help of um, Photo as usual, just like we did with the in-text citation. And we also will use Mendeley as the help for your, checking your reference list. Okay, I'm going to start sharing what I'm going to discuss today. Okay, first thing first, we need to understand what is reference list. Uh, to get that information, just remember, as we have discussed before, we can use Pull2Owl websites. You can choose whether you want to use APA 7 or you want to use APA 6. It's up to you. But one thing that you need to pay attention is the list on the left. When we talk about APA citation and also quotation, we only focus on in-text citation. There's two. But and then when we talk about reference lists, there are more rules, there are more complexity because each type of reference will have its own rules and what information that you're going to need to follow the rules. Okay, so in the Purdu, you can just check the table of content in the left. Anything that has like reference list, that's the one that you are going to use to check the information that you're going to need when you want to check the accuracy or the completeness of the information for your reference list. But first thing first, let's take a look at the basic rules. Okay, in APA version 1 and version 7, yeah, 7 style and also 6 style is they are different. In here, I'm going to talk about the newest, which is the 7 style. First thing first, what you need to understand is the basic rule. Yeah, you need to remember that. I would suggest you to memorize it because this is really important and because this is basic, so it's not difficult to remember actually. So what is actually a reference list? So references is like I think some system will call it bibliography. So basically it's the list of everything, every little sources, every literature that you use for your paper or your scripts or your graduate paper research or your writing. So any sources you have to put in your reference list. And there are some rules in regards to APA reference list. Okay, let's take a look at here. I'm gonna open the first rule that we have for reference list is that the reference list should appear. The first rule is that the reference list should appear at the end of your paper. Okay, so in the end of the paper, after everything is done, after everything is complete, then you start writing your reference list. If you have appendices or appendix, the appendix should be below the reference list. So the reference list should be after the main content of your paper or your thesis. Okay, and then it provides information necessary for the reader to locate and retrieve any source that you cite in the body of the paper. So the function of reference list is that the reader that is going to read your paper, they can track the reference that you use and they can also have access to it. Okay, so the rule is each source that you cite in the paper must appear in the reference list, and also each entry in the reference list must be cited in your text. Let me show you what that means. Okay, first, the rule is that it should be put after the content of the paper is done. As you can see here, we have conclusion and it's done. Okay. And so after that, we have references. Okay. So what does it mean that everything that you cite has to be in the entry? Meaning that if you, for example, put agaye here, so that means inside your paper, I also have to find agaye. As you can see, so I cite agaye here. I also have agaye in the references and vice versa. So say, for example, you have Chen and Chen here. So that means if I look at your reference list, I also have to find Chen and Chen. Okay, so as you can see, we have Chen also here. Okay, so everything that you put in here, they have to be able to be found in your in-text citation. So anything that you cite here has to be in the reference list. So vice versa. There's no way that you cite something and then you put it here and then you cannot find it in the inside of the article. And everything that you cite in the article, they have to be found in the reference list. So that's one of the first rules. Okay. And this is why I insist that you use application like Mendeley, because if you use manual, you write this manually, sometimes you forget to, say for example, you add literature and then you forget to add in your reference list, that's a problem. Or sometimes you already use one article, but and then you decide to delete that information and you forget to update the references, that's also a problem. But if you use application like Mendeley, you don't have to think about that because the application will automatically refresh the changes that you make. Say, for example, you delete your citation on Agaye and Zhang, uh, automatically the references here, the reference entry from Agaye and Zhang will disappear. Okay, let's go back to Purdu. Okay, let's take a look at the other rules. Okay, your reference should begin on a new page separate from the text or the essay, and the label has to be references, okay, in bold, centered, at the top of the page. Do not underline or use quotation, okay, and all text should be double space. This is something that many students, I think, forgot or don't know. Okay, so you have to start by writing references, not bibliography, not reference list, but references. And it has to be written this way, okay? The R is capital. And remember the rule, it has to be bold, it has to be centered, okay? And all of the entry here has to be double space, okay? Not single space, but has to be double space. So it's the same as the other parts of the thesis. Yeah, other parts of your script. All right, that's the basic rule. Now let's take a look at the uh, other rules, the basic one. Okay, this is another rule. Okay, all lines after the first line of each entry should be indented 1/2 inch, and this is called hanging indentation. Author's name should be inverted, last name first, and then initials. Okay, the first and middle name should be written in initials. Okay, that's another rule. Okay, and there's also a rule if your author is more than 20 author. I don't think we need to discuss that. I don't think you will find articles with more than 6 authors. Okay, and it should be alphabetized. Yeah, and the author in the same order the author with the same author must be listed in the same order. Okay, it should be in chronological order. That means the oldest articles, the oldest entry should be above the younger entry. Okay, and then when you refer to books, chapters, articles, report, web page, capitalize only the first letter. Okay, only the first letter to be capitalized. And for longer works, for example, books, journals, it has to be italicized. Yeah. All right. Now, these are a lot of rules. You don't need to memorize it because you can always check on Purdue. Also, this is also the reason why I asked you to use applications such as Mendeley, because if you use Mendeley, you don't need to think about all of those rules, right? Because the application will automatically do it for you. For example, this one, I don't have to do this manually because Mendeley already put this in hanging indentation like this. Okay, they already put it in alphabetical order. As you can see, the A and then B and then C, it's already in alphabetical order. And it's already, everything is already there. So it already follows the rule. What if you use manual? That means you have to do everything by yourself. You have to check whether the indentation is already hanging indentation, if the last name shows up before the initial, things like that. That's complicated. That's why I insist that you use Mendeley and don't use manual. Okay, it just makes your life easier. But anyway, talking about Purdue, you can always come back here for the rules just in case things are not in accordance to the rules, because application still has weaknesses, right? Especially in the information. Uh, this website is your guideline. If you use Mendeley and then the information there is not complete and you have all of the lists here, for example, if I want to cite from articles in periodicals is like journals, magazine, newspapers that are published uh, regularly, sometimes twice a year or once a year or 4 times a year, just like journal. The rules are all here. The rules are going to be different if you cite from books, for example. So what is the function of using this website? The function is to check what information that I should put in the entry of the reference. Okay, the function of this website is to check what information that I need for the entry of the references. For example, if I want to use a journal article, that means I'm going to need the name, the last name of the author. I'm going to need the name of the author. I'm going to need the title of the article. And I'm going to need the title of the periodical. I'm going to need volume number. I'm going to need issue. I'm going to need page. And I'm going to need DOI, or I'm going to need the URL. It's going to be different from, say, for example, I want to use a book. Okay, so I click on the book. What I need is not as many as the information is not as complex as if I cite from, if I use journal article. So I need the author, I need the year of publication, the title of my book, and then the publisher name and DOI. As you can see, I don't need pages, for example, right? It's gonna be again different if, say, for example, I use a website, okay, electronic source. It's going to be different. The information that I'm going to need is going to be different if I cite from journal article. So I'm going to need last name and first name. I'm going to need the year. I'm going to need the month and also the date. You notice this is different from the other sources. Like for websites, you're going to need the month and also the date, not only the year. I'm going to need the title of the page. Title of the page means the title of the article that you cite. And also you need the website name and then you need the URL. See, so the function of Urdu here is to help you, to guide you to understand if the information is already complete when you use Mendeley. I'm going to talk about it in the second video.